Sacrificial, sacred bowls and vessels, Mead, the Dagda, Odin, Awen, and cauldrons. In this video, I want to present the argument that while it may seem simple, the act of treating alcoholic beverages as sacred, using them as an offering, and seeing them as a connection to the divine, was a core concept within the European faiths, practices, and rituals. I will present concise evidence of this using a few references from other researchers as well. I do want to preface this by asking forgiveness from any butchering of Irish words that may take place in this video. I do not speak Gaelic, but I have studied a bit of it, and if you want proper pronunciations of Gaelic, I suggest you watch Fortress of Loch on YouTube. First, I am going to read an article from the Chad Pastoralists regarding offerings being made to Wōden by the Suebi and Franks. In Vita Sancti Columbani by Jonas of Bobbio in the 7th century, one of the earliest examples of an offering being made to Wōden by the Suebi is recorded. For there are Suebic tribes in that locality. While he stays there and goes about among the inhabitants of that place, he finds that they want to perform a profane sacrifice in a large vessel, which is called a cup in the vernacular and contained around 20 modia, was placed in the middle full of beer, at which the man of God went up and asked what they might want to be done about that. They say that they want to sacrifice to their god, called Wōden, whom, as others say, they call Mercurius. He, hearing this appalling design, blew on the vessel, and in a wondrous manner the vessel broke up and was split irrecoverably, and the force in the flowing liquid of the beer broke through it. He goes on to say it is equally notable that an identical form of offering is recorded in the Vita Vedastis with a mixed group of Christian and Pagan Franks. Entering the house, Vedastis saw that a vessel full of beer was standing in the house according to Gentile pagan ritual. He asked why they might want a vessel placed in the middle of the house for themselves. It was replied that the vessel was placed before some who were Christians and others, indeed, who were pagan, and this vessel was sacrificed according to the pagan ritual. And when he was informed thus, he busily hollowed the vessel with the sign of the cross and blessed it, calling on the name of the omnipotent God with the support of faith and the aiding gift of heaven. And when he had spoken forth the blessings with the sign of the cross over the vessel, which had been sacrificed according to the pagan ritual, immediately the vessel loosened in its fixings and poured forth all the liquid beer which it contained on the floor. Chad goes on to say that while both texts are written from a historical Christian perspective, they provide a valuable insight into the nature of libational offerings dedicated to, in the case of the Suebi, Wōden or Wōden. The similar nature of both offerings, described in the Vita Sancti Columbani and the Vita Vedastis, can be interpreted as the mixed group of Christians and pagan Franks making an offering to Wōden, identified as Mercurius in the Frankish literature as well. I have linked Chad's posts in the video description, so those listening can follow him there and read the post. While I won't say there's a direct correlation between hanging bowls and this Frankish Suebi offering ritual, it is an interesting concept which I would like to delve into. While my friend Malcolm focused on the hanging bowls, I will set the stage by focusing a little bit on the Celtic cauldron. This connection will be across a few things, such as the Dagda's cauldron, Coire Ansic, Awen, Autumn, as the breath of life, possibly the Gundestrup Cauldron, Odinic story of Kvasir, sacred mead, blót, and divine inspiration of life and reincarnation, all have an interesting potential in these connections. From here on, I will reference a few articles and posts my good friend Malcolm Stark and I have written on this topic. On screen, for those who are watching, I will also present a few examples of these bowls and cauldrons. I greet my lord, bring Awen's great greetings. Words from Ceridwen I compose, just like Taliesin when he freed Elfin. The Lord God grant me sweet Awen, as from the cauldron of Ceridwen. Luach op Luelen. The Gundestrup Cauldron was found in Denmark. The Anglo-Saxons were buried with hanging bowls with Celtic decorations, and Irish hanging bowls have been found in Viking burials in Norway. The Germanic peoples have always had a particular liking for Celtic ritual vessels. Ategnatos is the Gaulish word for reborn. It is thought that the Celtic understanding of rebirth is depicted upon one side of the Gundestrup Cauldron, rejuvenating in the life cycle of reincarnation. Lives again after a certain number of years in another form or body. Lucan also paid mention to the Druids' belief in reincarnation. Diodorus Siculus, 90 to 30 BC. This now brings us to hanging bowls from Sutton Hoo. One of the Celtic hanging bowls from Sutton Hoo shows definitive signs of having been repurposed for use by Germanic peoples. A ring of silver pressblech with Silent-style animal and knotwork designs are on the bottom. It could have been used as a holtboli and or for its original purpose, infusing its contents with divine inspiration. Etymologically, the term Awen means to blow. Similarly, the Old English term athm, cognate to Atman in the Sanskrit, refers to the breath of living beings. Before its use in Christian poetry, Awen would likely have originally referred to the breath of a deity. The Staffordshire Moorlands Pan is a small Celtic bowl with enameled triskelions and a Latin inscription naming the 4 forts along Hadrian's Wall, possibly as a Romano-British make or a Roman soldier's souvenir from the 2nd to 3rd century AD. The Dagda, Old Irish in Dagda or on Dagda, is the chief god of the Tuatha De Danann. He is a father-like figure, king, and druid. He is associated with fertility, agriculture, masculinity, and strength, as well as magic, druidry, and wisdom. It is said he can control life and death with his staff, as well as the weather and crops, and even the time and seasons. He also owns the aforementioned cauldron, which never runs empty. This cauldron could have connection to the same rituals we are discussing here. If you want to learn more about the Dagda, I yet again would direct you to Fortress of Luch here on YouTube. In Norse Germanic heathenry, we have Kvasir. He was a being born from the saliva of the Aesir and the Vanir gods. Because of this, he was extremely wise. Kvasir is said to have traveled far and wide, teaching and spreading knowledge, until he was captured by the dwarves Fjalar and Galar, who killed him and drained him of his blood. The two mixed his blood with honey, thus creating the mead of poetry. This mead imbued the drinker with skaldship and wisdom, and the spread of which eventually resulted in the introduction to poetry to mankind, via Odin freeing the mead from the dwarves. While this might not directly link to the importance of the cauldron, but the focus upon the sacred mead, wisdom, and sacrifice shows the importance of these elements to the Germanic people. I personally think that the Finnish Sampo of Samas might have stemmed from this as well, and I very much believe that much of the Arthurian Grail idea is directly derived from the same spiritual approach. I have written about these connections in depth in my book, Chalice of Divine Manifestation, a manual for physical and spiritual apotheosis, if you would like to read more. To conclude, we know that often pagan rituals, witchcraft, and sacred acts that are demonized as Satanism by the Abrahamics are depicted with the brewing of spells via cauldrons. But knowing the evidence I have laid out here, we can say that such acts of treating alcoholic brew or mead as sacred and offering it to the gods is indeed a core European belief. Hammer and Vajra out.